So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what planet is associated with the Enneagram type number 9, the arbitrator, also known as the peacemaker. And that planet is Mars. And I want to talk about why Mars is the planet for the number 9, and also some things you can do to harness that Martian energy. So first, let's talk about why that planet is the number, why the number 9 is associated with Mars. So listening to the karma code 9 yesterday, the karma code associated with the number 9, and something was said that just made so much sense. So, and it also helped me out too, because now I'll ask better questions. So why number 9? You know, why are these planets associated with these particular energies? So the number 9 is known as an arbitrator or a peacemaker. And when you think about what a peacemaker or arbitrator does, is they mediate conflicts, right? So in order to mediate conflicts, you need an energy that can get as intense as the conflict that needs to be mediated. So if you associate the number 9 or the arbitrator or mediator with an energy that's not intense enough to mediate the conflict, then the conflict could possibly overtake the 9. And so listening to the karma codes yesterday, the story of Pistis Sophia was brought up, and I forget which particular, forgive me y'all, because I gotta go back and listen to it again, but the energy that was sent to mediate the conflict between Yalbateo and Pistis Sophia. And just real quick, for the people who don't know what Pistis Sophia is, it's a book that is found in the Nag Hammadi library. It's a Gnostic text, and it goes into the story of Pistis Sophia and basically how she created Yalbateo, basically without like, it was an unauthorized production, basically. Like, she wasn't supposed to do that, but she did. And this blind God was basically, you know, running around saying, you know, I'm there. There's no other God but me. I'm a jealous God. Blah blah blah. That's Yalbateo talking. Forgive me if I haven't even pronounced y'all. Man, I might even pronouncing that name wrong. But go look it up for yourself. It's called the Pistis Sophia. It's all over the internet. It's not hard to find. But anyway, back to my point, right? So the energy that's sent to mediate this conflict between these two, right? So Pistis Sophia, you know, she was in a very regretful state. You know, she felt bad for what she had done. And so when you think about it, the mediator coming to do this conflict, Pistis Sophia is going to be, she's going to be, you know, probably accepting of this energy of wanting to resolve this conflict. Now, Yalbateo, on the other hand, is probably not going to be so wanting to cooperate, right? Because technically he would be the creator of the number 9, or of the Mars energy itself. So it's like, how can you, as the thing that I created, come and tell me what to do, basically, right? So as that Mars energy, that intense mediator, arbitrator energy, you have to be able to check y'all bail, or whoever you're mediating between, just in case they get out of line. And I think about it, it made me think about multiple, which is probably why I'm so drawn to peacemakers. I didn't think about it till yesterday. A few of my favorites, and these are movies, but I got some real life examples too. But some of the first things that popped in my mind was movies. I ain't even gonna lie. One of my favorite movies is Tombstone, and there's the main character. One of the main characters is Wyatt Earp, and he's a marshal, or he was retired, but then he ended up coming out of retirement because they killed his brother. But anyway, he was a peacemaker. Another movie that my mother actually referred me to, this guy was a peacemaker. He went into this village. He went into this. It's interesting because it was another Western. He went into this city to be the arbitrator, to bring justice to this town. And as the peacemaker, he had to knock a couple people upside the head. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had to be tough. He had to be strong in order to mediate these situations. Another instance that came to mind was there's an anime called Dragon Ball. Most of you guys are familiar with Dragon Ball, but for those who aren't, it's an anime, an adult cartoon basically. But it's for children, actually, that particular one. But so there's this angel in there, in particularly in Dragon Ball Super, is an angel called Whis, right? So Whis is, you have this hierarchy of these angels, these goddess of destruction, and then you have like man. So Whis acts as as the trainer for Goku and Vegeta, who are these two defenders of Earth, right? But he also is the one who is over Beerus, who's the god of destruction, right? So sometimes the god of destruction gets out of line, and Whis has to come check him. And the amount of power that he even uses, he doesn't even go, not even 10% of his power to knock out Beerus, to put him back to sleep, and also he trains Goku and Vegeta, right? But in order for him to train them and to be their mediator, he has to be more powerful than them. So if they get out of line and start fighting and start tearing up the earth or whatever, he can knock them out, to mediate the situation. So all this to say is, a mediator, the reason that Mars is associated with the number 9, the peacemaker, the arbitrator, is because as a mediator, you need that amount of intensity to be able to mediate situations. And when I even talking about power, I'm not necessarily always talking about, physical strength or just raw power, although Mars is associated with that. Assertiveness, power, decisiveness. It's a strong planet. It's a strong energy. It represents just raw power. But the power isn't necessarily always strength related. Like, for instance, when you talk about like, you have to be basically as powerful as the characteristic of the two that you're mediating. So let's just say, for instance, you're mediating between, I'm just using these as an example, these energies between let's just say a 1 and a 2. You have to be as strong and decisive as the number 1, but as empathetic and helping and selfless as the number 2, Like, you have to match their energies to mediate them. And it also makes sense why the number 9 is the mediator or the arbitrator. The number 9, it represents a culmination of all the paths, all the numbers. It's a combination. So of course it makes sense that in order to mediate and arbitrate all these energies, that it has to be a combination of them, because it can't empathize with things that it's not familiar with, or maybe it can. So right. So right. So that's point. That's why Mars is associated with the number 9 and all those things associated with it. So the next thing is I wanted to talk about was, oh, right. So things that you can do to harness that Martian energy. And these are just a few. There are many more, but just for the sake of time, and then because I'm kind of going off memory, some things you can do. But these are things that I've been incorporating in my life because I am a number 9, so I'm just sharing it with you guys. So the number one thing I would say is definitely physical activity. Like Mars as a 9, you're associated heavily with Mars, and it's an intense energy. You have to channel that energy. You cannot let that energy sit stagnant, because it won't sit stagnant. What it'll do is it'll come out however it wants to come out. So it's up to you to be a responsible energy manager. You know, first things first, some sort of physical activity, whether that's exercise, yoga, running, some sort of sport, anything, martial arts, anything. You gotta move that energy around. Yo, these bugs today, like the ants not so much, but the flies and these other flying creatures, man, they just on me today, man. But so yeah, you have to move. Basically, you have to move. So another thing is what was the next thing? Creative pursuits, you know. So whether you write, if you're a writer, whether you do music, whether you like to create, produce, whatever it is that you're producing, channel that energy into production as well. To move that energy out and express it in a creative way. Another thing is what was the other one? I just had it on right there, right on my mind. Meditation. Meditation is a great way to bring balance to your energies. Breath work, a great way to bring balance to your energy, because your energy is very intense. You know what I'm saying? So a good way to bring balance to all those energies is meditation. Is breathing, deep breathing exercises will help bring balance to this intense energy that you carry. Another one that actually came up that I wasn't even really thinking about was conflict resolution. Like actually learning skills in conflict resolution. And we all know that conflict resolution first starts internally. So let's start there and then move it externally. So we're going to resolve those conflicts within ourselves and then move it externally. Let me see if I can think of any more. I'm not going to take too long. That's it for right now. There were more ways, but for right now, I'm just gonna the company that you keep, making sure you keep peace within your social environment. So just doing your best to stay around people that help you keep your peace. You know what I'm saying? And being able to be in a position to where you can be that mediator, that arbitrator for yourself and others. You know what I'm saying? By keeping that balance and that peace in your environment. Another thing I'll add is to not avoid conflicts. I had a situation yesterday where conflict came up, and I almost avoided it. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. I looked, I seen something, and I was like, I'm not, it's not that deep. I'm not gonna say nothing. And I was just like, hey, we have a conflict that needs to be confronted. It's not gonna hurt anybody if you confront this. Like, let's make this a practice of when conflicts come up, of confronting them. Because this is practice, and this is our job, our duty. You're arbitrator. So, I confronted the conflict, let the person know that what they was doing was wrong, and that they need to not do it again. So yeah, that happened. And one last thing I just want to talk about. This was a result of reading the Pistis Sophia. Well, listening to it. I listened to the audio book yesterday. Now this was interesting. This was something interesting that happened. So I've read the Pistis Sophia before and listened to it, and but I listened to it yesterday with new ears, and it may have been a little bit imbalanced, but I pretty much internalized the entire story. Like when Yeshua, basically this is the time between after Jesus resurrected. Said he spent about, what was it, like 40 days or 6 months? He spent a decent amount of time discoursing with the disciples after he had rose from the dead, right? So what I was looking at, or the way that I'm interpreting this text as I'm reading it, is I was no longer looking at it from a physical aspect. I wasn't looking at Yeshua as this physical man sitting discoursing with these disciples. I was looking at him as the energy that is inside of us all, that can run through the chakras, or run through the different bodies that we have. The energetic body, the crystalline body, the physical body, this energy that can run through all that. And I didn't get past Mary's discourse. Basically Mary was discoursing on the basically like the fortune tellers, the people who basically use astrology to tell the future. She was discoursing on them, and I wasn't seeing it as her discoursing on it. What I was seeing was the moon when Mary is being talked about. I was seeing the feminine energy, and the feminine energy expressing itself through what she was saying. And it even talked several times about Yeshua, or the Christ, going past these energy centers and them not recognizing him moving through these spheres or through these spaces. And I'm just thinking like, wow, this is talking about these spheres of energy. Also could be related to the chakras and these spaces, and how this energy is not, it's like ether. Like they're like, if you were to move, if any other physical thing, because even light is physical, it's just moving very fast, but this is beyond light. This is something that can't be, it kept referring to this light as immeasurable, and it moving through these spheres, and the spheres not being able to detect it being moved. And every time it referred to like the sphere moving to mountains or moving up, I'm just thinking, crown chakra, or just higher states of consciousness, and moving down, thinking root chakra or lower states of consciousness. When it's talk about heaven and earth, I'm just relating it to, consciousness versus physical plane, or denser energies. So yeah, I pretty much allegorized the whole thing as I'm reading it. And another interesting thing I think that was while I was listening to it was when it kept talking about this light being immeasurable, it mentions that it was like 16 and 40 times more powerful than the original light as it started. But at the same time, I'm like, but you just said it was immeasurable. So where's this measurement coming from? So maybe the idea here is that it is measurable, but you're hiding it from the person reading. You know, you tell them it's immeasurable and you're expecting certain people to go, oh, okay, it's just immeasurable, and then just skip by the measurement that you just gave so somebody won't look further. Basically, these mysteries are enclosed inside of mysteries, and then enclosed inside of other mysteries, and they unfold the more you investigate. So yeah, man, this all happened yesterday. Man, just an awesome, I think this is just an awesome time that we're in. I know it's a lot going on. The number 9 energy is associated with Mars because it needs that intense power to mediate and arbitrate. I've given you some ways to utilize that energy. And I will talk to you guys later. If you